Okay, now today you have two sheets. You got, it says this right here, and then you're going to have to add something to the way you factor two terms. When we had two terms, you just did the GCF, you had your F1, F2, and that's it, okay? Well, there's going to be a step you need to add to it. It's called DOPS. It's called difference of perfect squares. And difference, I mean, there has to be a minus there. So we have this right here. We got 4x squared minus 9. Now we have an x squared term, but where's the x at? You know, because we're used to having x squared and there's an x somewhere. Well, that dropped out, okay? So I'm going to explain why. This is a difference of perfect squares. Difference of perfect squares, when you factor them backwards instead of multiplying, it always has a plus and a minus, okay? What number, is there a number times itself that's 4? Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is. And you have all your perfect, these are perfect squares. 1, 4, 9, 16, they're all these, okay, on the back side of that sheet. Is 4 a perfect square? Yeah, it's 2 times 2. Is x to the second a perfect square? Yeah, it is. I'm kind of cheating here. As I go along, I realize I missed some things. Okay, x second is, yeah, that's x times x. So you put x and x on the 2, okay? And then 9 would be 3 times 3. So this is a difference because we have a minus sign there of perfect squares. So what I do is I put 2x and 2x like that, and then 3 and 3. And that's factored. Now, don't do this, okay? That's good enough. Now, watch what I do. If I have to multiply this out, let's say I had a problem where I had to multiply that out. It's the 1, 2. So FOIL. So I go 2x times 2x. I take 2x times negative 3. I take 3 times 2x. And I take 3 times negative 3. Okay, so that's 4. Each factor has x, so that's 4x squared. That's negative 6x. That's positive 6x. And that's negative 9. Now, when you do your little blank x squared plus blank x plus blank, x squared is 4. And that's indeed what we started with. The x's are these two, but when you add them, they cancel out and they make 0. So if I have 0x, I take that term out, and then I have negative 9. And that's how that happens. That middle term always cancels when you have the same expression, but you have opposites, okay? So we're going to need to look at that difference of perfect squares. All these problems are factoring two terms, okay? Okay, x squared minus 25, okay? You're factoring it. I don't need the two answers. I just need you to make your factoring boxes. So GCF and DOPS. And with DOPS, you make, DOPS stands for difference of perfect squares. That's what it stands for. Okay, so I make two parentheses, 1 plus, 1 minus, okay? So I do my GCF just like I normally would. I'm going to put a 1 in front of that. Do you have a negative in front? Nope. Do you have x on both? No, you don't. So don't put x. 1 and 25 would just be a 1 GCF, so get rid of that. Okay. Okay, is that a difference of perfect squares? First off, do you have the minus sign? You have to have a minus sign. You do. Okay. Look at this. Is 25 a perfect square? Yeah, it's 5 times 5, so I'm going to put that right here, a little 5 times 5. Okay, 1's a perfect square, it's 1 times 1. X to the second's a perfect square, it's x times x. If you have a 1 in front of the x squared, just don't even bother with the 1, because you know it's 1 times 1, and it'd be x, just put x times x, okay? You can put 1x, that's fine too, okay? So you do, it's x plus xx, and then 5 and 5. X plus 5 times x minus 5. Then stop right there. Again, if it's a 1, you can just put x times x if it's to the second power, but if it's anything but a 1, you got to put that coefficient in front of each x. Okay, next problem. These all have two terms, so the setup's the same on all of them. GCF and DOPS. Okay, GCF. I'm glad I'm doing this problem here because it proves a point. Do you have a negative in front? Yep. Do you have X on everything? Nope. Now take your coefficients, 4 and 100, punch those into the GCF calculator if you don't know it mentally. That's 4. Okay. So you factor out negative 4, but not with X, and then go divide by negative 4. So that's going to give you 1. That's still going to be X to the second. Positive 100 divided by negative 4 is negative 25. So you watch what I do. Don't write plus negative, write minus. And here's why. Because if you write plus negative, you're not going to see the minus there. You have to have the minus there to do the dots. It's there. And 25 is a perfect square. That's 5 times 5. 1's a perfect square. You can put it, but you don't really have to. X second is X times X. Okay. So X, 5, 5. If you want to put the 1 there, just do it, I guess. Okay, if that makes you feel better. Okay. Now, if you have a GCF, remember to put it in front. If you were solving the equation, you'd cross it off, but so forth. Okay, 9x squared minus 4. GCF, negative in front, nope. X on everything, nope. 9 and 4 is going to be 1, so out of here. Okay, you have your minus. You got to know. You got to have a minus. I didn't explain that well last year. Okay, we're gonna correct that problem this year. If there's not a minus, you don't do it. That's why it's so important on the GCF you not be putting plus negative. 4 is 2 times 2. 9 is 3 times 3, and that's going to be 3x times 3x. Okay? Because you got 9 is 3 times 3, x the second is x. Okay? So it's 3x, 2, and 2. Now, some of you might be like, well, how come you didn't put that number there last problem? Because it was a 1. I didn't need to. If it's anything but a 1, yeah. Okay, next problem. GCF and dots. This is how we're going to do 2 terms. 3 terms, this is GCF-T, this is GCF-DOPS, okay? GCF, negative in front, nope. X on everything, nope. You need to use your GCF calculator online here. 144 and 16 have a GCF of 16. They do. So I need to factor out 16 and then divide. That gives me 9x to the second and 1. Okay, so with your dops, now in that parentheses, now you're going from the parentheses. Do you have a minus? Yep. Is 1 a perfect square? Sure it is. 1 times 1. Is 9 a perfect square? Yep. 3 times 3. X the second. X times X. So I put 3x, and then 1 and 1. And then pull your 16 down, even though it doesn't have an X, it's good to see. Okay. Again, minus there, so we go ahead. 1 times 1, 3 times 3, X times X. Okay, this one here, the staple's in the way. It said X squared plus 49. So you can put the 1 in front. This one's going to be a quick problem. You're going to see why. You're not going to end up doing much of anything. If you know why, that's good. GCF, negative, no. You don't have X on everything. That's GCF of 1. Now, do you even have a minus sign? That's the first thing you got to check for between the 2 terms. Is there a minus sign? No. So this is prime. You cannot factor it. Okay, that's why you got to look. I know a lot of people say, oh, 7 times 7, 1 times 1, and 1x, 1x. But the minus sign makes it a deal breaker, okay? Yeah. So GCF. Now some of you are like, oh, there's no minus sign there. That's because you have to. Yeah, you don't know that. You haven't done your GCF yet. Okay, so you don't really know if it's prime till you analyze the GCF. So GCF, negative in front, you betcha. X on each one, nope. 5 and 125 into that GCF calculator is 5. So there actually is a GCF. So I don't know that it's prime yet until I deal with the GCF. Okay, so negative 5 divided by negative 5 is 1. And the x second stays. That's negative 25. Don't write plus negative. You need to put minus 25. Plus negative means subtraction. You need to start getting the habit of doing that. Okay, now we're going from here. Now the minus is there. And 25, yep, darn right, that's there. 5 times 5. 1, yeah, that's 1 times 1. And x second is x times x, so we put x's on those ones. Now, if it's 1x and 1x, I would kind of prefer, you can put 1x, 1x, or x and x. When it's 1, it has to be a 1 to do xx. 5 and 5. Pull your negative 5 down, and that's it. Okay, next problem. GCF, negative, no. X on everything, no. Punch in 36 and 111 into that GCF calculator I showed you online, GCF soup, and it's going to give you 1, so that means, unbelievably, it's 1. You'd think there'd be something, but there's not. So, before we do the dots, do you have a minus? Yep. It's 121 on the list. Yeah, it's right there, 11 times 11. Is 36 on our list? Yeah, that's 6 times 6. And x a second would be x times x. So 6x, 6x, 11 and 11, and there is no GCF there. Okay. Next up. This can be a quick one too. GCF, you got one? Nope. I mean, negative in front, nope. 1 and 7 have the GCF's 1, and we don't have X on everything, so we can go ahead and forget that. DOPS, you got minus. However, 7, I don't believe that's a perfect square, so that is prime. You have 4 problems to do. One of them is prime, and one of them has a GCF. Okay, and there are 2 that, yeah,